Welcome everyone to this week's Restorative Yin Yoga practice. I had a question from a student regarding how we might use our restorative practice to work with grief and exhaustion. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Everyone, no matter who we are, goes through loss, overwork, and just high levels of stress in our lives, and particularly right now during this pandemic. So today we're going to focus on some breath work that helps to bring us into more emotional, mental, and spiritual balance. And then we will work on opening the heart, helping us to release stored emotions in and around the heart. And then we'll also focus on soothing the adrenal glands, which sit on top of the kidneys, help us manage stress and regulate our cortisol levels, the stress hormone in our body. And then there's also some poses here which will activate our parasympathetic nervous system, helping us move out of fight, flight, or freeze mode into more relax, digest, sleep, and feel more uplifted in our moods. So to begin, we'll start with Anuloma Viloma practice, Pranayama, or breath work. Prana means life force energy and Yama means control. So basically we use the breath we control the breath to help then control our energy. And in particular in this practice, it helps to bring more balance between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. The left side being more of the intellectual, logical, thinking brain, and then the right side being more of our intuitive, creative, felt sense. So sometimes when we get highly stressed, we tend to lean into one of these sides. So we're not quite thinking clearly, if we're very heavily into our emotional, very activated our emotional side, our intuitive side, or the other side, we might become too hyper-focused, thinking a lot and kind of neglecting or not being able to feel our emotions and move and come more into our more of our subconscious almost. So this practice will help us bring both of the right and left hemispheres of our brain more into alignment and balance, so we feel like we're operating more at a whole level. And then we'll move into our asana practice. So to begin, go ahead and sit on a bolster, block, or blanket to get some height. As always with our restorative practice, you want to have quite a few props on hand if you have them. So today I have 4 blocks, a strap, 2 blankets, and a few pillows. And we will make do with what we have, and this practice can be done without any props as well. So first, just settling in on our seat. Taking a few cleansing breaths, inhaling deeply in through the nose, and exhaling out through the mouth. Beginning to release tension from the top of the head down through the face, relaxing the eyes, the jaw, the tongue, sinuses, and letting that relaxation sweep down through the body, into the legs, into the seat, and into the earth. Becoming more present here in this moment of space and time, feeling into our body, and working into our posture, lengthening up through the crown of the head, dropping the chin slightly to elongate the back of the neck, bringing the shoulders back and down, opening and expanding through the heart center, and then resting the hands naturally where they fall on the thighs. So to begin our pranayama practice, alternate nostril breathing, we'll make the Vishnu Mudra with the right hand. So you can start by making a peace sign, bringing up the forefinger and the pointer finger. And then we bring those down and bring up the other fingers. So then we have the thumb here to block the right nostril, and then the ring finger to block the left nostril. So we'll begin by blocking the right nostril. We'll inhale through the left for 4 counts, hold the breath in for 16 counts, and then block the left nostril and exhale out through the right for 8 counts. Don't worry about counting. I will cue you for the inhalation and exhalation. You can just focus on staying present, keeping the breath nice and long and deep throughout both the inhalation and the exhalation. And then when we're holding or retaining the breath, just letting the mind rest between the eyebrows or the lower belly. If we feel like we need to tap in more into our logical, kind of more left brain, we might rest between the eyebrows. If we feel like we need to activate more of our right brain, our creative, our emotional sense, then maybe rest the awareness in the lower belly. Okay, so here we go. We'll get started. Blocking the right nostril with the thumb and inhaling through the left. Block both nostrils, retain the breath. And then exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Retain the breath. Again, just letting the mind rest in between the eyebrows or in the lower belly. Just letting the mind be still there. And then exhale left. Squeezing all the oxygen out. Inhale left. Retain the breath. Exhale right. Inhale right. Retain the breath. Just resting in the gap, just being completely still. And as we exhale out through the left, see if we can squeeze those muscles of the diaphragm and the belly in towards the spine to really empty out. And then inhaling left, inflating the belly of the diaphragm. And retain the breath. Feeling into your posture. Exhale right. Inhale right. Retain the breath. Exhale left. Inhale left. Holding the breath. We'll do a couple more rounds. Again, just resting in the stillness, letting the mind be open. Exhaling out completely through the right. Squeezing the muscles of the core in, and then inhale right. Expanding, retaining the breath. And exhale left. And then just releasing the hand down, breathing naturally. Maybe closing the eyes, feeling how we might have experienced some shifting in the state of our being, in our mind, our body, our heart, and just by doing 5 to 10 minutes of this type of breathing. So this is something you might consider practicing regularly, maybe in the morning when you wake up, to help come into a more centered state, or really anytime you feel yourself getting off balance. Let's go ahead and arrange our props for our next few restorative poses. So we can come down off the bolster. And as always, we're going to move slowly, keeping our awareness in our body as we arrange our props. So to start, we'll take a couple blocks. You can also use heavy books at home if you don't have any blocks. And we will set this first one at the top of the mat on the medium position here. Okay, so if this is the lowest height, then we have the medium, then the highest. So we'll set it there on the medium, and then the second one on the lowest height. If you have a bolster, you can just go ahead and lay that bolster lengthwise on the blocks. If you don't have a bolster, you can take a heavy blanket or two and fold it rectangularly lengthwise, and then we'll go ahead and place that lengthwise on the bolster. Beautiful. So to start, we'll come into supported tree pose or bound ankle pose, whichever feels best for you. So coming onto the back, and then going ahead and laying back. You have this bottom block here to support the mid and low back, and then the upper block here to support the head. And so with the legs, if we'd like to come into supported tree, we can lengthen out the legs and then bend one knee and bring the inner right foot, the right sole of the right foot into the inner left thigh, keeping the left leg extended, arms relaxing out to the sides. If this doesn't feel very good, you might also try coming into bound ankle pose, bringing both of the soles of the feet together and letting the knees fall in a butterfly position. You can also support the knees with blankets or pillows if there's too much strain here happening in the inner thighs. Lastly, you could also come into a supported fish pose, lengthening both legs out, bringing the feet together. So feeling into it, feel what feels good with your legs. What we're really focusing on here is the heart. The chest is lifted, the heart center is expanding. And we can begin breathing into the heart. Maybe exhaling out through the mouth for our first few breaths. Feeling into the texture of the energy around the heart. On the exhale, having the sense of unburdening. If we have a sense of heaviness or constriction around the heart, using that exhalation to have a sense of melting through that constriction, releasing that sense of heaviness. Letting gravity drain that tension down into the floor, surrendering to that force. Having a sense of the heart beginning to soften, almost melting. You can have a sense of the tension, any hardness, heaviness, releasing from the heart down through the chest, through the arms, and then out through and into the earth, down through the elbows, the forearms, the back of the hands. Letting that tension release into the earth. And then on the inhale, having a sense of bringing in new prana or life force energy right up into the center of the heart and expanding into the entire chest. So we have a sense of the heart, the energy of the heart just filling the entire chest. And if we start to feel any welling up of emotion in the heart, just allowing that to happen. Just going with it, feeling that release of energy. If tears start flowing, just letting it all flow. Letting any trapped emotions of grief, sadness, frustration just flow out of the heart and into the earth. We might feel our body tensing up if we do start to feel emotions releasing. The minds might start to activate. So just seeing if we can let the mind relax, let the body continue to relax, and just let that energy flow out of the heart without any resistance. Softening the face, the jaw, the tongue, shoulders, arms, and legs. And then we might go ahead and switch up our legs here for in our supported tree, bringing the right leg down, bending the left knee, bringing the sole of the left foot into the inner thigh. Let's take 4 or 5 more breaths here. As the heart begins to release and open, we can have the sense of its natural warmth, its radiance, its light, its heat starting to emanate through our entire chest and then expanding out into the rest of our body, our arms, our neck and head, filling our entire upper body with warmth and light, radiance, compassion, love. Tapping into the natural, loving sense of the heart and extending that out to ourselves so that we can both feel that grief and sadness that might be present in the heart, but also hold it with the warmth and compassion of the heart, and just letting it melt into that all-pervasive sense of unconditional love and warmth towards ourselves and all that we go through. Let's take a few more breaths here. And then allowing the warmth and radiance, compassion of the heart to sweep down into our mid-body. Sending love to those adrenal glands right here in our low back, just on top of the kidneys. We can prepare that space for our future work here in a moment by breathing a bit deeper into the belly, expanding into these sides and the low back, but still connecting with our heart here, sending that warmth and love and energy into our lower belly and our lower back, nourishing our vital organs. Sending that life force prana into our vital organs. Recognizing all that they do for us without us being even aware of all the work and love they're providing for us every moment of our lives. Let's take a couple more breaths here in the belly. And let's go ahead and release that left leg down, coming into supported Matyasana or fish pose for our last few breaths here. Breathing into the heart and then having a sense of just pervading on the exhale, allowing that warmth, radiance, and love, acceptance of the heart to pervade out into our entire body, into every single cell, sending ourselves unconditional love. Bending the knees, bringing the soles of the feet to the floor, inhaling and exhaling, rolling onto our right side and resting the head on the arm, taking a couple breaths here. Beautiful. So lying on our right side can also be very nourishing for our heart, which is here on the left. And we're also inhaling deeper through that left nostril, helping to activate the right side of our brain. Again, activating that more sense of being in touch with our emotional state, our subconscious, things going on underneath the surface, our felt sense. And then letting that left brain go offline a little bit here, just being more in touch with our emotional state. This is also very nourishing pose in the sense of feeling very safe. It's almost like a child resting in the bosom of her mother. In this case, the mother being our precious Mother Earth and the life force energy that she gives us. Breathing it out, feeling that sense of safety and security. And being held and loved by the earth. Let's take one more breath. And then lengthening that top leg, pressing through the hand, and gently pressing our way back to our seated posture. Sitting for a moment and feeling the space, the energy, the release we've created in the heart center. And from here, we'll work into some poses, again, that help to soothe our adrenal glands and the kidneys, helping to bring our levels of cortisol or stress hormones back down and into balance. So we'll come into a version of locust or salambasana pose first. So we can keep these props as we have them. We'll go ahead and come onto the hands and knees. And we will have a couple blocks and a pillow and a blanket handy as well. So I'm going to show you a couple versions here with more or less props. So first is we come down onto the belly, and then we bring the tops of the feet and the tops of the lower leg to the blocks and blanket here. So this would be the first more gentle pose, in that we just have the lower leg on the props so that you'll feel a gentle back bend here, but not too intense. And you can just stack the hands and rest the forehead on the hands. If you would like to deepen a bit more into the back bend, you can bring more of the thighs and the shins onto the props, elevating the legs and deepening into that back bend. You can also place a strap around the feet to keep the feet together if you find them kind of falling off the props. So this is one place to start, especially if you don't have a lot of props. If you do feel like you would like a little more support, you can use a pillow there for your head, and also use a blanket to support you a bit more underneath the hip bones if you feel like the hip bones are driving into the mat. And then you might also come into more of with the arms behind, as we would with a more active locust pose. We bring the arms to the sides, and to get a little lift there, you can also support the tops of the shoulders with blocks. Beautiful. So taking a moment to find what works for you and make those micro adjustments to the props. And then once you are comfortable, letting the body become still. And then having a sense of moving the tailbone a bit down, lengthening down towards the heels, broadening out the low back. On the inhale, we can feel the belly lift and expand the breath into the low back, starting to nourish the kidneys and the adrenals. On the exhale, completely letting go, just surrendering into our props or into the floor, letting any contents in the mind just empty out through the forehead, and really focusing that breath into the belly and the low back. Beautiful. So as we start to really get into more of a relaxed state, our subconscious will start to be a little more active. Again, feelings might arise here as we de-stress and let go of those held emotions or held tension. So going with the flow, letting it happen, letting visions or words or memories arise in the mind, But staying rooted in our body and using the breath as a form to release those stored emotions, those memories. Surrendering them down into the floor, letting them go. And then inviting new life force energy up through the front of the body, through the earth, into our body, into particularly the lower back region here. Let's take 3 or 4 more big breaths. Beautiful. And then slowly releasing the legs and feet off the props. You can just widen the feet out to hip to shoulder width apart and bring the feet down to either side of the props. And we can move these blocks a bit out of the way. And then slide the elbows underneath the shoulders. Hands on the mat. And coming into Sphinx pose. So this, we get both the benefits of opening through the heart and nourishing the kidneys and the adrenals. So we continue to lengthen the tailbone down towards the heels, having the sense of broadening through the back. Low back there. You can again allow a bit of external rotation in the thighs to increase that length along the sacrum, and also reaching out through the toes. We have a sense of lengthening through the legs. The buttocks we want to keep firm, but we're not clenching here. So the lower body is a bit active. And then pressing through the elbows and bringing the shoulder blades slightly in towards the spine, so we have a sense of expansion through the heart. Maybe releasing out through the mouth on our exhalation, and then letting the face and the jaw completely relax. So while we're active a bit through the legs and the arms, the head is completely relaxed. Arms are relaxed here, the hands are relaxed. Breathing into the heart center. We're also nourishing our other vital organs by breathing deep into the belly, pressing the pelvis into the floor. Again, if we need a blanket there to be a little more gentler on the hip bones and the pelvis. So we're helping to detox and cleanse the organs and the glands. Breathing deep, inviting in prana or energy, inviting blood flow, releasing out waste products and toxins. And then from here, we might take it up into seal pose by spreading the fingers of the hands and the palms, inhaling, and then exhaling, pressing through the hands, lengthening out the arms, which is we'll deepen into that back bend. Keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. Pressing the pelvis into the floor, the blanket. Inhaling, and then exhaling, maybe dropping the chin, Kind of bringing our focus once again internally in towards the heart. Stretching through the neck as well, where we can hold a lot of tension there in the neck and the shoulders. Breathing into the upper back. Releasing that tension. Again, the legs are active here, reaching out through the toes, tilting that tailbone down towards the heels, letting a little bit of internal rotation now on the thighs, hugging the thighs in just a little bit for stability. You can also look over the shoulder, stretching through the neck. Softening through the face. I'm going to take it to the other side. Inhaling back to center. Exhaling, maybe lifting the chin, walking the hands back a bit, stretching through the neck. Again, breathing into the heart. Maybe releasing out through the mouth. Good. Inhaling and exhaling, slowly walking back down. Let's find Sphinx pose here for another few breaths. And then walking the elbows out, stacking the hands and resting the forehead on the hands or the cheek. And then just letting everything completely relax here in kind of a gentle version of Crocodile Pose. So we can hold a lot of stored emotions or a sense of guarding ourselves in the back of our body. So some of these back bends, like the Sphinx and the Locust, can help release those unconscious emotions being stored in the back body. So let's take a few moments here to breathe into the back of the body and release down into the floor. Anything that's arising, you're letting that energy release down. So here we can engage full yogic breathing, breathing from the belly up through the diaphragm into the upper chest as well. Maybe holding for a moment and then releasing all at once. If the forehead is resting on the hands, you can also move the head bit side to side, putting a little pressure on those acupressure points in between the eyebrows, releasing any tension from overthinking and stress. And then to release out, it's bringing the palms underneath the shoulders, inhaling, pressing up, lifting the chest, walking the knees forward towards the hands. And then we can go ahead and sit right on those blocks and sit back in Vajrasana for a moment. Feeling into the back of the body here. Feeling that openness, that space we've created. Let's go ahead and do a counter pose for the back bending by coming into supported child's pose. You can just go ahead and turn around. You can also use this blanket here, resting it on the shins, on the back, the back of the calves and the feet. Sitting on the shins for a moment, and then coming forward and straddling the props a bit here, and then releasing the kind of mid-torso diaphragm area onto that first block, and then resting the cheek or the forehead on the upper block, letting the arms rest on the sides. So once again, seeing how much we can expand the breath into that low back. And also can keep extending that breath up into the diaphragm and into the upper chest, expanding through the heart. On the exhale, totally surrendering. Once again, feeling the heart connected with the earth. So breathing right into the center of the chest, having a sense of the breath expanding through the entire upper body, connecting with the earth beneath us, just opening up like a hole opening up in the earth, and then exhaling, having a sense of releasing any stuck, trapped emotion in the heart, down through that tunnel into the earth. So we're feeling release, relaxation through the entire back of the body, and surrendering down through the forehead, the heart, the feet and the legs, just letting all that tension in the back of the body just release down. Let's take 3 more full yogic breaths here. Releasing all the stress that might still be present in the mind. So if we're still experiencing worries or unresolved issues arising in the mind, seeing if we can release them down through the forehead, into the supports and into the floor. To release out, let's bring the hands, palms to the floor, underneath the shoulders. Inhale, pressing up, lifting the chest and the head, sitting back on the heels. And then removing this blanket, go ahead, sit on to one side and come back to our seated posture. So for our last few asanas, we will use the support of a wall. So if you need to adjust to get closer to a wall, you can go ahead. So first pose we'll be working with is Viparita Karani. And we will use the support of a blanket here. So you could take your blanket and fold it to bring support to your low back. So you can get as much or as little as support for the low back as you like. You can also just be flat on the floor. So we'll bring that blanket right up to the edge of the wall. And then you'll want to grab your strap. You can use another blanket here to support the head and neck. So you want to place it right underneath your shoulders. And then maybe bringing a couple other blankets or pillows to either side of your blanket against the wall. So to come into the pose, we will come up very close to the wall and bring the feet up to the wall and then scooch it forward so that your low back is supported by your blanket. Your buttocks and thighs are right up against the wall. And then we're bringing the other blanket underneath the head and neck, just above the shoulders. And we can take our strap and tie the legs just above the ankles so that the feet are hip to shoulder width apart. We might use these pillows we have here on other side to support the arms. And then once we have all of our props in place, we should be able to completely relax, the legs relax, the arms. And so once you are settled here, we'll hold for 2 or 3 minutes. Completely surrendering into the posture and allowing all the energy in the legs, the blood in the legs, to flow down and nourish all the vital organs, again, including the adrenal glands. So again, this pose is one of the best poses in yoga to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, leading us into rest and digest mode. This is also great for insomnia. Some women find this beneficial for soothing menstrual cramps. So really surrendering, feeling that sense of relaxation sweep over your entire body. Notice if you're holding any tension at all, and releasing into the props and into the floor. Engaging our full yogic breathing, breathing deep into the belly, pressing the low back into the floor, and then extending up into the diaphragm, feeling the rib cage expand, and then into the upper chest. And exhaling, surrendering, letting go. If the mind is still activated here, we might engage through Ujjayi breath, which is slightly closing off the back of the throat, making an oceany sound with the breath to help focus the mind. Both on the inhalation and the exhalation, just holding any remaining worries, concerns. Again, if memories arise, emotions arise, releasing them into the breath and into the earth. Let's take 4 or 5 more breaths here. And moving slowly here, let's bend the knees, bring the feet to the wall and release the strap. And then we'll come into supported spinal twist here, just letting both knees fall over to the right. You might need to move the hips over a little bit to the left, and then keeping the knees stacked, resting them on the floor or support. So staying here in the spinal twist for a couple minutes on this side. This is another pose that helps to squeeze the adrenal glands, so helping to detox and soothe the adrenals. So taking nice deep breaths into the belly and into the low back as we hold the pose here. Feeling into what feels good. If it just keeping the head, back of the head on the mat, or looking towards the right hand or the left hand. So just feeling into what feels good with the head. Resting in stillness. Let's take 3 or 4 more breaths on this side. And inhaling, coming back to center, bringing the knees in towards the chest. Let's just for a moment lengthen out those legs, straddling the legs out. Bring the back of the thighs and the calves to the wall. And just letting the inner thighs open here for a moment. Having a sense of complete openness and receptivity. And inhaling, bringing the right leg over, bending the knees, and coming into the spinal twist on the other side. Again, we might move those hips over to the right, and then let the knees come down on the floor or support. So we're orienting this right shoulder and shoulder blade down towards the floor. Deep breath in the belly. Beautiful. And then inhaling, rolling on over all the way over to your left side this time. We'll take a few more breaths here. resting on the side. Again, you can lengthen out this arm and rest the cheek on the top of the arm. Now we're breathing more freely through our right nostril here, stimulating more of our left side of the brain. Cherishing a last few breaths here, feeling held and nurtured by Mother Earth. Bring the right hand to the floor, inhaling, pressing up, releasing out of the posture and coming back to our seated posture on the center of our mat. We can go ahead and grab any of those blocks, bolsters, or blankets to sit on here. Closing the eyes and feeling into your being as a whole. Noticing the quality of our mind. Perhaps it has come into a more quiet, spacious, less worrisome state. Noticing any relaxation that has happened through the neck, the shoulders. And then feeling into our heart center, maybe placing our hands there. Noticing any shifts that have occurred emotionally. Seeing if the natural warmth and radiance, compassion and love of the heart feels a little more accessible. And then once again, taking a moment to send that unconditional love, acceptance out to ourselves, accepting everything that we are and everything that we go through, all of our emotions, knowing that we are only human. And to be human is to experience a wide range of emotions, grief, sadness, loss, tenderness, joy, love, blissfulness. Just welcoming that all in, knowing that the heart can always expand to hold whatever emotion is arising for us. And then feeling down into the belly, the pelvis, the low back, feeling into our vital organs. Noticing how our practice has brought more life force energy or prana into these areas, soothing the adrenals, nourishing our digestion, nourishing our whole nervous system, hormonal system, coming back into more balance. And feeling ourselves as a whole, feeling that balance between body, mind, and spirit. So thank you so much for coming today. I hope this practice has helped you feel a little more grounded, a little more in touch with your emotions, a little more spacious in your mind, and overall feeling more whole and balanced, again, in body, mind, and spirit. So I hope you will return to this practice anytime you are feeling overwhelmed with stress, grief, exhaustion, sadness, or any difficult emotions coming to the surface. This really is our wonderful benefits of our yoga practice. All it takes is our motivation to take a time out and lay on the earth and breathe. So thank you so much for coming. The light in my heart recognizes the light in yours. Namaste.